It's darkest before the dawn. And that thought keeps us moving on. And when, let me see if I can remember this, and when these fingers can strum no longer, hand the old guitar, the young ones, stronger. That's that song quite early morning. We're going to sing. And we're going to sing happily and loudly. Brian and I used to argue about this. He always played Pete's tune to this, which Pete actually said that he liked Peter, Paul, and Mary's melody better. And so we'll do it the way Pete liked it better, because that's what we're more familiar with. But Brian, I said, Brian, you got to play it this way. Let's just play it this way one more time. Well, I don't know that. But Brian, I don't know the way you're doing it. But we'll play it your way, Brian. Okay? So let's do this the way it ought to be done. This is the guitar that Brian called the Canon. I bought this guitar, actually I bought it from Andy, who bought it from Brian, because I was broke. And I'm so glad I have it. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'd hammer in the evening, all this land, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between the brothers and sisters, all over this land. I have been on my feet in the morning. If I had a bell, I'd lay in the morning, I'd lay in the evening, all over this land, I'd lay out danger, I'd lay out warning, I'd lay out love between the brothers and sisters, all over this land. I have a song I sing in the morning. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, sing out love, I'd sing out love between the brothers and sisters, all over this land. Now I got a hammer and I got a bell. Now I got a hammer and I got a bell. And I got a song to sing all over this land. But it's a hammer and it's a bell of the freedom. It's one of love between the brothers and sisters, all over this land, Lord. It's never enough. It's a bell of the freedom and love between the brothers and sisters, all over this land.
It's lovely to see all of you out there. I'm here to open up this microphone here for sharing. We'll have a program of musicians coming now, and anytime there's a transition and new musicians coming up, you're welcome to come up to this microphone and tell your own stories and memories about Brian, who he was to you, what he meant to you. The musicians will pause and give you opportunity, so don't hesitate to make use of this if you are feeling drawn to share something. My name is Katrina Micaiah, and I sang with Brian for about 2.5, 3 years between 2007 and 2010. We were also sweeties during that time. And I had always been a shower singer. even Donald, who I was married to for 8 years, hardly ever heard me sing because I didn't want anyone to hear me sing, or at least I thought that I didn't want anyone. But when I saw Brian singing in town, something in me said, I'd like to sing with him. And Emily Poor, who's here today, introduced us at Country Dance. And we got to talking about Chicago because I had lived there for a while, and he was from the Chicago area. And during that time, I just happened to mention the one and only song I had ever sung outside of a choir context at somebody's wedding one time, Give Yourself to Love by Kate Wolf. And he didn't know the song, but he went home and he found it online and he taught it to himself. And then a couple days, he called me and said, I've got the song. And so I went over and we sang that together. That was the beginning of both relationships that we had. But I was always, even singing with him, still a nervous singer. I've heard stories, people talking about the way that we looked when we were singing together, and how romantic we looked because we gazed into each other's eyes. And I said, well, you didn't realize that was the only way I could sing in public. Brian's eyes were my anchor. If I looked away and looked at the audience for very long, especially at the beginning, I just get too nervous. And so that was one reason we looked at each other. But I remember also one time sitting in Mikey's downtown in Moscow having a meal, and I was talking about my frustration in finding a way to get my voice out. I always felt like it was kind of locked in there somewhere. And I said, it's like my voice is in here and I'm trying to reach in there and get it out there. And he said, well, if you take your fist out of there, it'll come out. And I realized that I'd been kind of bullying myself into singing how I thought I should sing, sounding how I thought I should sound. And Brian has created a context for me to become more comfortable singing. He could dial in any song into a key that would work for me. I had no idea that was part of my frustration. I was trying to sing keys that didn't work. He would just say, well, we're in the wrong key, let's do it in this one. Really? You could do that? And he put it in B flat or some strange key that most people don't sing in, and suddenly I could sing it. So he opened up a world of music to me, and when I stopped singing with him, I stopped singing altogether. And so one of the things that is passing, and Terry Trabowski's passing, have done for me is to give me the message to start singing however I can, with whomever I can. So today is the beginning of that. Again, this microphone is available for anyone who would like to share something.
What a deal. What a deal that Brian taken from us. He was so alive, he left, and now he's gone. It's hard to do. You know, I've played this horn in a lot of places and stuff, but I find myself being real nervous. One of Brian's real heroes was Louis Armstrong. And I'm trying to think about how Louis Armstrong might seem to young people nowadays. He must seem like a very strange person with his gravelly voice and kind of corny mannerisms and things. But he was a real groundbreaker. Brian's from Chicago. I always think of him as from Chicago anyway. And Louis was one of the people who brought jazz up the river to Chicago from New Orleans. He was playing second cornet with Joe Oliver, who was called King Oliver, because he was the best cornet player in New Orleans before he came up to Chicago. And Louis was playing second cornet for him, his dream job. And at one point, Joe sent for Louis to come up to New Orleans and join him at the Royal Garden. And Louis got up there in the evening. The band was already playing. He walked through the crowd with his case. Everyone looked at this kind of picky guy. He was dressed up in this cornball, double-breasted, box-back suit, and they wondered who this guy was. And he got up there on the stage, and when he started playing with them, suddenly box-back, double-breasted suits were in rage. And everybody had to have one. Katrina asked me to play It's a Wonderful World, which is, of course, Louis' probably most popular hit, so I'll give it a stab here if I can get some sounds out of this thing. You'll need amplification.
Mainly guitar. I listen to that type. To perform. The first memory of him is, the best memory of him is during one of the Not, I guess Not Bob 2, which was in the kind where they hang around backstage with him. Was it Madison?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, Joan had a great little video of her playing with Brian playing and with Dan singing in the lobby afterwards. So this is a song, I'm not going to put a song that's written on here, not dramatic. This song was sort of inspired by some things we've been talking about today, just the sense of how when somebody passes away, it sort of returns them to a certain timelessness. And I was inspired by reading some stuff about physics and about the nature of light. And I was thinking about, I was in the basement where I play music, looking at pictures of people I knew that passed away. And I was thinking about how light had caught the image in the first place. And these pictures were pictures of my father and my grandfather when they were much younger. And I realized that the light that was illuminating the pictures was old, as I was looking at some of the lights from the sun, some of the lights from the stars, some of the light that I was seeing was, timeless. And a sense that when somebody passes away, that you have a sense of them still being very much alive in your mind, in your consciousness. And that's a timeless immortality. And the rest is Oh, one day, one blue summer's day, the sun called your name, you stepped out loud. Then you turned your eyes to that big blue sky, and your smile that rose up into the heavens. And tonight, you return to that light. I see you still when the sun is still. It's still rising, yeah. Still rising, yeah. It's still rising, yeah. Well, we roll down the windows, sun blue wind, and we drove through the night on the desert wind. We reached across the sea, held the back of my head, and when I awoke, the sun was rising red. And tonight, you return to the light. I see you still here when the sun is still. It's still rising, yeah. Still rising, yeah. Still rising, yeah. Don't fear. Well, I watched you rise in the morning light, where you slept by your granddaughters in the summer night. Laced up your shoes, rolled up your fins, and you turned towards the hills, and you spread your wings. You still rising, yeah. You still rising, yeah.
Brian and I were roommates from 2006, 2007. I think a lot of people thought that was, I don't know if a lot of people thought it was weird, but maybe I was a little curious because our age difference was so big. But Brian he was so fun. He was such a fun roommate. He was probably one of the most fun roommates that I'd ever been with. And we would play so much music together. And I had never played as much music in my whole life as I did with Brian. And You know, just like Katrina, I could really feel her when she's talking about this voice that's really locked in. And I loved singing, but singing in front of people was pretty scary. And Brian really got me to a point where I could do that. And I even performed a few times solo, but he sounded so good. His guitar, he had his 12-string guitar, which just sounded like magic when he would play it. And he had his regular 6-string, and I just loved to hear him play. And he would get on his roller skates sometimes, and he'd skate around the house. And I think he liked being closer to my height. And he was sweet. He was really sweet. I remember I got the flu. It was one of the very few times in my life I got the flu. He made me lentil soup. He gave me a back rub. He was so nice. And I'd never had anybody do that. Usually, if I had a roommate and I was sick, they're like, I'm not. But he was there to help me out, and then he got sick, and so I felt like I had to repay him. So I made him soup, and I sang him some songs. But Brian was really important in my life, and I'll never forget him. And we played together in town a bunch of times, not that many, but the song I'm about to try by myself, is a song that we both really liked because he really liked Louis Armstrong. I really liked Edith Piaf. And so this song ended up being really perfect for us to play together. And it is La Vie en Rose. And I'm going to sing it in French and English, and I'm going to try not to screw it.
Des yeux qui font passer les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il veut prendre ses
wanted to share a short story while we're waiting for Joan and Donald to get ready. I didn't know Brian that well, but his stepdad, Lynn Wright, came to the area about 2010, and he had been on a big musical tour for a year playing the piano fiddle, a duet that he had started in West Virginia, and he ended up in Joseph, Oregon, for a short time before coming back, staying with us in Moscow. And I think, Katrina, you were able to introduce Lynn to Brian, knowing that he was a musician, and my dad was in a bad way, and needing just to connect with something. He and Brian had a great relationship. If you were around in 2011, you had the chance to see him play in Bootsers. They love jazz, so hearing the Louis song today was perfect. The two of them actually did radio shows at KRFP, the Church of Louis Armstrong. So they had a great connection, and Lynn really was able to get to the place where he could move on. He couldn't have done that without Brian, so he was so thankful for that connection.
I was talking with Clay Eels earlier, and kind of talking about whether John Prine was in fact Brian's mailman or not. So I heard that story. And I asked Katrina if that was true. She said, because she told me that, she said, I don't know that. And then I asked Clay, he said, well, I'm not sure about that. But I'm a believer in the notion that the facts should never get in the way of a good story. So we're gonna pretend for the next half hour or so that John Prine was Steve Goodman, or Brian Gill's mailman. There's a lot of talented musicians in Moscow, many of them in this room. I always had the impression about Brian that, and maybe it came through in what you were saying, Clay, reading Brian's words about truth. I always just felt like Brian always kind of cut through to me. It didn't matter whether he was playing a silly song or what he was doing, but there was a quality to Brian's music that, for me, set him apart from anyone else in town. And I think there were more accomplished singers and more accomplished musicians, but I always had a special fondness for Brian's music. Of course, Brian had a gift for encouraging people. Katrina was speaking about that, as well as Emily. And so he had a fondness for people who were encouragers, like Steve Goodman, who encouraged John Prine. And Howard Bogan and Armstrong. I remember talking to Brian about Howard Bogan and Armstrong, and I was thrilled that somebody actually knew who I was talking about. And of course, I knew like A to B about them, and he knew A to Z because of his musical knowledge. So it was always good to hear Brian talk and sing. And so this is a John Prine song, and on the recording, Steve Goodman harmonizes, and Clay, of course, wrote about Steve Goodman, and Brian is featured in that. And if you want to know anything about Brian and Steve and John, Clay's your man. Anyway. Paradise by John Prine. Yeah, I think I should go over this. Joan played last night at One World, so she knows all of this technical stuff. Well, that was easy. You know what you're doing. When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky where my parents were born. There's a backward old town that's often remembered so many times that my memories are warm. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. But I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coach train has hauled away. Well, sometimes we float right down the Green River, the abandoned old prison down by Erie Hill, where the air smelled like snakes and we shoot with our pistols, but empty pop bottles was all we would kill. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away. Well, the Coakley came with the world's largest shovels, and they tortured the timber, and they stripped off the land. And they dug for their coal, and the land was forsaken, and they wrote it all down as the progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coach is hauled away. I let my ashes float down the Green River, let my soul roll on up to the Rochester Dam. I'll be halfway to heaven with paradise waiting, 5 miles away from wherever I am. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lay. I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train is hauled away.
So I'm grateful to have the opportunity to sing with Katrina on this song. And it's a song that was one of my favorite songs that Brian did. And it was a song that he wrote. And I don't remember the whole story of this song other than it was a song that Randy Travis was supposed to record on an album. And it didn't make it on the release of that album. But it's a song that I think is definitely worthy of Nashville. It's called Grandma's Radio. Well, I was cleaning upstairs in the attic just a couple of weeks ago. Wow. Hang on. Okay, here we go, for real. Well, I was cleaning upstairs in the attic just a couple of weeks ago. I found some things in my grandma's dusty old radio. I fixed it up pretty good, got some parts on the local Sears. I plugged that thing into the wall, oh, I couldn't believe my ears. Hank Williams, 1955. WLS Barn Dance, broadcasting live. Uncle Dave Macon and the Grand Ole Opry Show. That's good old country music on my grandma's radio. I took it over to my brother's house and said, Lester, here's something pretty strange. Anywhere you turn that dial, it's all sound the same. Well, we hooked it up to a big antenna to see what would happen then. I tell you, that dial started to grow. Good Lord, something happened again. Started singing Hank Williams, 1955. WLS Barn Dance, broadcasting live. Uncle Dave Macon and the Grand Ole Opry Show. That's good old country music on my grandma's radio. I got the latest thing in stereo. I got digital laser beams. Got an equalizer light show like you ain't never seen. Got all the fancy gadgets. Latest in the phonograph craze. But I'd rather hear that radio. Bringing back good old days. Hank Williams, 1955. WLS Barn Dance, broadcasting live. Uncle Dave Macon and the Grand Ole Opry Show. That's good old country music on my grandma's radio. Eddie Arnold, Minnie Pearl, howdy. Bill Monroe and all the crew. Roy Aiken, Patsy Cline, little Jimmy Dickens too. Hank Snow and the Carter family. You could go on for years. Singing sweet country songs, their music to my ears. Hank Williams, 1955. WLS Barn Dance, broadcasting live. Uncle Dave Macon and the Grand Ole Opry Show. That's good old country music on my grandma's radio. Nowadays on Saturday nights, the neighbors all come around. We sit up there in the backyard, drink some cool ones now. But everybody gets real quiet when it gets time to turn it on. And I know Grandma's up there singing. I can hear her singing along. Hank Williams, 1955. WLS Barn Dance, broadcasting live. Uncle Dave Macon and the Grand Ole Opry Show. That's good old country music on my grandma's radio. Hank Williams, 1955. WLS